So Sunday he talked about the new life in Christ,
Yeah.
which is a great subject that needs to be discussed, and especially with new people coming to the church,
Yeah.
visitors, novices, um, maybe even people who have been a part of church for a long time, but they're still babes in Christ. Um, that's something that they need to be reminded of. Your life is transformed and is changed in Jesus. Now, what do you think that looks like?
Like practically, hands-on. That's the question, isn't it? I don't know. It's hard because you do appreciate the new life conversation. You've been given new life, but a lot of times we make babes in Christ and then hope they can walk and
Yeah.
hope they can figure it out by themselves. I think that's a good metaphor for new Christians is they are babies. And if you think about how to raise a baby, it's a lot of work and time.
It is.
Well, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had 4 of them, so
Yeah.
tell me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know.
I've read online.
Yes.
It's a lot of work. I mean, there's a reason, though, that the Bible uses that metaphor.
Yeah.
Babes in Christ. Because you're brand spanking new. You need a lot of work and attention. There's going to be a lot of crying. There's going to be a lot of diaper changing. I mean, it's just...
Some
it
dirty
is what
work.
it is. So I think hands-on practically that looks like literally us taking care of each other and guiding each other through this life.
Yeah.
Which is discipleship.
Yeah.
Basically.
And some verses you've honed in on, Matthew 28, 18 through 20.
Yeah.
Jesus has the authority. His instruction to us is go make disciples.
Right.
And I think we also need to incorporate 20, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded.
Right.
And I think that's you're not going to be able to exhaust that in one sitting. It's got to be a process. It's going to take time. You got to have that togetherness.
I guess if you're an experienced church member and you have a new convert, just been baptized, a new disciple, what would you suggest that the experienced Christian does for that younger disciple?
Well, it's going to have to be on both ends. Both parties need to be willing and ready to make the time to study, to look things over, to experience the new life together. And you're going to have to participate and involve yourself in events, in studies. You're going to have to do a lot of Q&A together, but it's going to take both parties.
So time.
Time.
It occurred to me that the church, when you just go into another church or you see a church for what it is, you're not actually looking at the result of what the church is doing now in modern day. You're actually looking at that church as a result of what's been done 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago. So, and I think that's what we miss in disciple making and the long-term process is we want it right now.
Yeah.
I want my church to grow from 100 to 200 right now.
Tomorrow.
Doesn't work like that.
Yeah. So don't get discouraged at the numbers. Don't try to save the world in one day.
Yeah.
I think that's where we get that idea of start with one.
With one.
Yeah. If you got 2, fantastic.
Man, and just imagine if every experienced Christian took that seriously, and then they just did one. We're not...
Mathematics.
and
multiplication.
Don't even go what Jesus did with 12 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like 1, 2, or 3. Get a group together, start doing that, see where it goes. And we don't like to say this a lot, but see where God leads you in that.
Yeah.
It's God's work, not ours.
Yeah.
See what happens there.
Well,
and
what
you'd be
opportunities are presented.
You'd be surprised with the results.
Yeah.
And so I guess the other side of that is if you're a new Christian, you have the new life, and you're just on fire, you're ready to go, but no one seems to be a mentor. No one's really stepping up in that way. What would you suggest they do?
You got to find somebody. Keep searching. I ran into that when I first became a Christian, and I went to several individuals, and they all would pass me off to someone else. Or they would say, or I'd get to know a certain person, and they would say, yeah, such and such can study with you. And nothing was ever set up, so nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
And that's what I expected to happen to me at one specific location, and it didn't. It changed my world in a sense because one person took it upon themselves to meet with me on a regular basis, and they said, "Yeah, I'll study with you." And again, it was on both ends. He
Right.
was willing, I was willing, and when you have two willing people to have discipleship, then it can work.
Right. That's where I've run into trouble in my past too, is that I guess I was expecting someone to come by and say, take me by the hand and say, here, new Christian, here's what you can do. And that wasn't around because the minister was already doing it, or you already had a deacon doing it, or whatever. So, and that creates a church culture of pew warmers. We're just sitting there, as long as my body is in the building Sunday morning and I'm sitting in the pew and I'm looking at the minister and I give him a handshake and a good job, that's all I'm required to do. If Jesus came back and saw churches like that, you know he would turn over tables.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Did you not read the whole thing? Did you read the book of Acts where I sent them out and did this stuff? What's going on? So
Yeah.
a simple way we can start is just find somewhere, man. If you're good at graphics, go do that. If you're good at Bible study, go do that. If you're good at public speaking, ask if there's a way you can slide in there somewhere. If you like singing, do that. Something. Clean the building, whatever it is. Go to your friends and family if you're a compassionate person, if you like baking, whatever. Find something that you're good at and just start doing it. Think about the suggestion or implication of a statement like, we've tried to make disciples, but it's not working. The world is too far gone. In Matthew 28, Jesus said, go teach this, make disciples, teach them to do the same things I've taught you. And he says, behold, I'm with you always.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's God's promise that this thing is going to work. He's going to be with us regardless of the situation we're in. So if we get to judgment with that promise and we were inactive, are we saying we weren't good enough to do it? Are we saying the world was just too far gone? Or are we calling God a liar?
Yeah.
You told me to do this, and Lord, you just don't understand my circumstance. The world's too far gone. Do you really want to call the Lord of creation a liar? He was not mighty enough to do that. I am not comfortable with that at all. I'm just saying, and I think a lot of churches, when they say things like that, oh, well, back in the day it was easy. We used to be booming. I'm like, just think for a minute about what you're suggesting about God.
Yeah.
He is not mighty
failed.
enough. His church is not great enough to do this.
Yeah.
Used to be, but something as fragile and sensitive as culture is enough to break the church. Really? I do not want to be the guy who says that.
And yeah, I agree with you. It's almost saying, I don't believe in your promise. I don't trust it enough. And you're almost in essence saying, I really didn't want to take you with me, Jesus. You said you would be with me, but I didn't want you coming. So that's why I never did anything.
If you confess me with your mouth,
Yeah.
I'll confess you to my Father in heaven.
But if you're ashamed of me and my words.
So we've got action, put your faith into practice somewhere, accountability. We're meeting together regularly, checking on each other if we're falling out of connection. And then I would also say reproduction. As far as you're a disciple now, let's challenge each other to go and make more disciples.